Stackalee. He was born with a veil over his face. Gypsy told Stack's mother, told her like a friend, your double-jinted baby won't come to no good end. And the gypsy woman sure was hateful, 'cause it was all that come out of her very way. And how comes Stackalee's mother to call of a fetch-and teller and was caused to come kicking into the world wide-eyed double-jinted with a face set full of teeth? But what scared her most was that he had a veil over his face, and everybody knows that when babies are born with veils, and their faces can see ghosts and raise 41 kinds of hell. Sold his soul to the devil. And so when Stackalee growed up, he got an awful rascal and round her with lots of trifling women and stayed drunk all the time. One dark night he come staggering down the road, and the devil popped up real sudden, like a grinning jumping jack. He carried Stackalee into the graveyard and bought his soul, and that's how come Stack could go around doing things no other living man could do, such as making himself so little he could get into a bottle on a shelf, and you could look at him when he was sitting there, just and filling a bottle full with water and setting it on a big old glass jar, where it would sink to the bottom, until he began to talk to it, and make it rise up and dap through the holes every way he wanted. And by walking barefoot on hot slag out of a pig iron furnace and never getting burnt, or eating all the hot fire you could hand him without burning his stomach and changing himself into a mountain or varmint. Some old-timers, though they knowed him personal, that his favorite night shape was a prowling wolf. That's how come it used to sing this old song about him. Stackalee didn't wear no shoe, can tell his track from a horse or a mule. The magic hat. You see, it happened like this. Stack was crazy about Stetson hats, especially if those great big 5-gallon with dimples in the crown. He had a whole row of them hanging on pegs, and you could look at them along the wall of his rickety shanty in Market Street in St. Louis, where he lived with that woman, Stack of Dollars, that I'm going to tell you about later. He had a dimpled and lemon-colored yellow hat, and a black Sunday one with 2 white eyes to wear at funerals, and with the brigands, and lots of other ones, all kinds and colors. But his favorite was an oxblood magic hat that folks claimed he made out of the raw hide of a man-eating panther that the devil had skinned alive. And, like I told you, how come Stack have it? Because he had sold his soul to Old Scratch. You see, Satan heard of Stack's weakness, so he met him in the dark night and took him to the graveyard, where he coaxed him into trading his soul, promised him that he could do all kinds of magic and devilish things, as long as he wore that oxblood Stetson, and didn't get it away from him. And that's why the devil fixed it, so that when Stack did lose it, he would lose his head, and kill a good citizen, and run right smack into his doom. His girlfriend. Now, Stackalee had a girlfriend, and her name was Stack of Dollars. She blew into St. Louis off Cincinnati's old Bucktown, on the levee where she used to run gambling games at a saloon there called the Silver Moon, long, long ago. And she always bet her whole stack of silver dollars. She walked into the Silver Moon, stacked her dollars mountain high. Says they stuck me $1, 'cause my limit is the sky. She had 2 diamond teeth with gold filling, and when she opened her mouth, a sunburst smile, they didn't glitter. Proud of them sparkles, too, 'cause they like shining flashlights. Wouldn't pawn 'em or get old Stackalee out of hand. And since they was fastened to her head, they were safe, 'cause she was a fat mama with the meat shaking her bones. She didn't let no man for bouncer. She feared nothing and nobody. Her motto was, come clean or come dirty and get cleaned. She could put a knot in a boy's head so big that he wouldn't know whether he's not on him or he was on the knot. She had a full bosom, or an 8-gallon Stetson, smoked cheeroots, and was tougher than a Big Mag of Chicago's old Cheyenne district. She ruled the levees with her big fists, and even old double-jinted Stanley, big enough to go bear hunting with the Lewis witch, had to let out when they had them Sunday night fistfights, 'cause she would roll up her sleeves and begin smacking him around until her shanty shook like when Joshua fixed the Battle of Jericho, and the walls couldn't come down. But she was good-hearted, though, when she was sober, and long, tall Stack, who was a gambler with plenty of good-looking browns, claimed he liked her because she whipped him so good. Stackalee goes west. Now, like I told you, Stack was popular with the women folks as he could whip up the blues on the guitar and beat out a boogie-woogie music, piano bass, and like that. But they all liked about him most was he was so stout he could squeeze the breath out of him. And his favorite one was a voodoo queen down in New Orleans French Market. Anyway, the woman got to bargain on him being so stout that they reckoned he could give old Jesse James a good tussle. So, Stack with his gun handle filled with notches, no reward out for him when the men were washed away, he load down the lucky cart and magic Stetson and keep on a-hiding, but he figured that he'd better light out once he was going good. So he thought he would look up Jesse James for giving her a trial. Stackalee went out west, met Jesse James, and did his best. Yes, sir, that fool even got mixed up with Jesse James, but Jesse was too much for him, turned old Stack every way but loose. The Lord knows what he might have happened to Stack if the devil hadn't come down the road in the cloud of dust that got in Jesse's eyes. Leastwise, it might be saved from city of San Francisco, and it might have kept old Stack from getting into all them amazing things I'm going to tell you about later. And leastwise, the devil wouldn't have changed him to look like Billy Lyons or to get poor innocent Billy killed. Stackalee changes himself into a horse. Anyway, after the devil had saved from Jesse James, Stack, knowing that the law was hot after him, lit out again, heading west. And it was on the way over the mountains that he'd run into two Cholo deputies on their lookout for him in order to collect the $5,000 reward offered for his arrest. So Stack sat down to swap a few words, and with them two big mountains before they'd caught who was on. Then he told them that he didn't aim to hurt them, he just wanted to know what their names was. When they told him, the sucker hauled out his .45 and shot their initials in their hats, and changed himself into a hoss and galloped away with a lot of little red baby devils riding on his back. And did them deputies run the other direction? They knowed it was Satan's work, and they thought that maybe Stack was the devil himself. Tell you the truth, think I'm lying. Had to run sideways to keep from flying. So scared was they tore out of a graveyard, knocking tombstones over like 10 pins in a bowling alley. So Stack, he held his sides laughing and sat down between them two big mountains and thought, and finally made up his mind to go to Frisco, where he later called the Black Samson. Stackalee lays San Francisco low. Now here comes the most amazing part of the story. Stack had been in Frisco about a month, getting leaping drunk and just about running himself crazy. One morning in April in 1906, after he had a rocky night and had a headache built of a hippopotamus, he was looking for a sudden jerk and eye-opener to cool his burning thirst in his throat. Into the first ballroom he staggered. He didn't have a penny on him, but he had a fistful of tricks in his magic outfit Stetson, and he was sure he could pull off some kind of conjuration to get his morning's juice. But the bartender told him, "Listen here, colored man, I ain't getting even the bottom of the glass till gin till you shows me the color of your money." Stack got all big at the nose and woofed. "All right, boss, you either fixes me up with that gin or I pulls down this bar." The bartender, he just shook his head, grinning and looking sassy. So Stack laid a A-bolt on the bar, and both hands, and sweat as big as marbles rolled down his face as he huffed and puffed and blew. Stack knew that he didn't know his own strength, but when he gave one powerful jerk, down came the ceiling, and the whole building said, "My goodness, I should have aimed to get so rough. Damned if I ain't gone and made a mess for sure." It happened so fast that it scared Stack himself. It was the water pipes. Outside was more wrecks than you could shake a stick at, buildings tumbling down all over. "Lord, I sure didn't know my own strength," Stack said with a crowd of people in the street. They tried to tell him about an earthquake, but Stack didn't pay them no mind. "It was the water pipes," he said. "They're all fastened together all over town. When I gave that last powerful jerk, I must have pulled out the faucet of the saloon and snatched down the whole town." He soon lit out there for St. Louis, where he might run smack into his doom.